never know how to start the episode. Well, welcome to episode 4 of After Bedtime with Stevan and
Kelsey.
There we go, right on cue. We're coming to you from the living room like usual after wrestling the monsters to bed. Actually, they weren't really that bad tonight. There was only one wake up and come out and need something.
Yeah, but I think that was only because I had just given him that he could keep that little nightlight thing. I think he was wanting to use it because I'm trying to teach him that that it's okay if he needs to go to the bathroom to get up and go.
That's good. But I felt like it was not a struggle.
No, I don't think it's been a struggle lately.
Compared to some nights.
Well, I think the nights where it's a struggle, I think they're overtired. We should have put them to bed a little earlier.
Do you feel overtired?
Yeah.
I feel a little overtired.
I'm exhausted.
But I'm very proud of us sticking to this commitment because part of me just wanted to ride the bike and then go to bed. But we're gonna do this. Do you have anything you'd like to start the episode with? All right.
I thought I did, but now I've lost it.
Okay, well then I'll start with what I had.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna call this my Starbucks empathy story. Okay? So you remember the Saturday when we were coming back from breakfast with your family, and we were coming over that bridge on Connecticut that goes over the overpass, and you were and there was a car riding my butt, and I was like, this is my new thing, and I pulled over to the side of the road.
Yeah, I did not like that.
I know, it was unexpected, and I know it kind of...
It just wasn't a location to just whip over on the side of the road.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That being said, something had happened to me earlier in the week, and that's what this story is about. So I went to the dentist on Thursday, one of the days I went to the dentist.
Why are you looking at me? I don't know.
One of the days I went to the dentist, and after the dentist, the next logical stop was Starbucks, obviously. You get them teeth cleaned,
after the dentist.
you gotta dirty them up with some coffee.
No.
So I get on, so my dentist is on Pearl, and I'm getting on 4th Street. And I'm gonna take that all the way down to Range Line and hit that coffee shop, or hit the Starbucks there by GameStop.
Yeah.
So about 2 blocks after crossing Main Street, I realized that there's this car that is just right up on my tail. And I think, oh, well, eventually she's gonna turn. Well, about another 5 or 6 blocks down, I realized this lady's going to the exact same place I'm going to.
How do you know?
Because you just had that feeling where it's oh no, we're going to the same place.
Or she was just going to that same
So she proceeds to ride my butt. Not there isn't room to pass in the other lane. There's room. There's no other cars. It's me and her. And she is just pressing on me.
So then why didn't you just get in the other lane?
Well, I was being a little stubborn. I was
why do you get so angry like that? Why can't you just let it go?
It's frustrating. Anyways, though, this is where I had an enlightened moment, a mature moment. As we were turning left onto Range Line, we were getting ready to pull into Starbucks, I just had this realization that wherever this lady is going is way more important than where I'm going. And she obviously, I was having this moment of great empathy, where I was trying not to let this person's actions enrage me, but try to instead understand why this person must be acting this way.
Yeah.
And how bad of a place they must be in to be acting that way. So I'm okay, well, I'm just gonna pull over and let her go through the Starbucks line first, because she must need to get this drink real bad, real fast, and get to where she's going. So we go through the Starbucks line. I get to the window, and I'm getting ready to scan like the rest of my gift card that I have left on my app. And the guy's like, "Oh, such and such already paid for your drink, and have a nice day." And that lady that was ahead of me, the one that had been riding my butt all day, but that I like let into the line, had paid for my drink.
That's awesome.
I know, because it was like one of those.
Well, she probably just realized, oh, I shouldn't have been acting the way I was acting.
Yeah, but which yes, probably, yeah, exactly, right. But like, it's funny how if one person takes that moment instead of like I could have got angry and like flipped her the bird and like cut her off and got back in, or I could have done something much less becoming, right, from a place of frustration and anger and judgment of her,
because it would have just made her day worse.
Yeah, and she would have responded in kind.
Yeah.
But because I for some reason had that moment to like allow myself to calm down and try to come from a place of like understanding,
yeah,
she responded in kind as well. And she was able to kind of have that space, hopefully, or the story I tell myself in my head is she had that space to like think about her actions and think about how was that impacting him, and then respond in kind with a gesture of kindness. Yeah. Even though my gesture was so simplistic and so probably, I mean, it could have even been taken as a little like annoying, like this guy's like beckoning me to get in the Starbucks line ahead of him just to prove a point. Either way, I thought that was like really powerful because it just reminded me of like the power of empathy and trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And it reminded me of what Gary Vaynerchuk says all the time, which is you have to think about, like when somebody is mean to you or hateful to you, it's just a mirror of themselves. Like they must be in such a, think about how bad of a place they are in emotionally and in their life, where they want to spend some of their time and energy tearing you down, you know, or in my case, someone who is that rushed and that stressed to where
she may not have even been realizing what she was doing.
She may not. This may just be a narrative I've created in my head.
No, but I'm saying but you letting her go first may have reset her of like, oh my gosh, I was on top of him. My car was in the tail end of his car the whole entire time on the way here.
But so that story is important for me to tell you and to share with you, because it's something that I think I want to do more of, is like be more empathetic, try to be more understanding, and to find those moments to like have that space to think, okay, calm down, try to see where this person's coming from.
I watched a video today, and it was Kristen Bell. She was giving a speech of saying that no matter what, kindness will always win. She said whether it's immediate or whenever, you know, a little bit down the road, kindness will always win.
I believe that.
Especially whenever you need it.
Yeah, in the long run.
It may not be right away, but at some point your kindness is going to come around and reward you for being kind in that moment. And I would like to practice that a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think that's an important thing to understand, is that if how you act is predicated on how you expect someone to react to your action, then you're vulnerable. But if you're really genuinely being kind and caring, because that's the right thing to do, that's the
well, also the biggest thing that people need to realize even is that even if you feel like, ugh, I need to get this person back for treating me this way, killing them with kindness does so much more than reacting in anger.
It really does.
Because then it flips back on themselves, and they're like, I was a total dick in this situation, and it makes them feel worse in the situation, or at least making them reflect on what I'd done.
Yeah, and I think that's where once you then if you can get to that place where you just automatically respond to the negativity with positivity, and then you can layer on that piece of understanding how badly they must be hurting.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're not even worried about killing them with kindness because you have so much pity and sympathy and empathy for them that, man, how bad is it? Like, I feel so bad for you that you've hurt that bad that you have to hurt others.
Yeah.
And then you're like, man, like, I'm good, but like, you're hurting. Like, that's why you're trying to put stuff on me, is because like here's another story. So we were in Kansas City last. I was vlogging on the way back from the gym, and I stopped at a Walmart, and I was vlogging on the way into the Walmart, and some guy just like yelled across the parking lot, "Nobody cares!" And in that moment, I had that exact same thought of like, how sad is it? He thinks people don't probably care about him or his life.
Yeah.
And he's projecting that onto me.
Yeah.
Because I could care less if anyone cares about what I'm vlogging about. That's not the reason I'm vlogging. But he's projecting his own opinions, his own beliefs about why people do that, right? And he thinks so little of his life and what he has going on that no one would care about what he has going on. So why would anybody care what you have going on or I have going on?
Yeah.
And then when you start to look at people like that, you're like,
that's sad.
It's sad. And you start to think, man, it frees you from worrying about those people, because you're like, I'm good. You're the one who needs to go do some work, you know?
Yeah.
You just, people who are good, who are happy, who are kind, they don't feel the need to like judge and lash out.
Well, I mean, really majority of the time when someone acts out poorly is because that's actually their immature way of saying I need help.
Yeah.
Or I need attention in some way. But it goes back, I don't remember which podcast that we were discussing this, but it goes back to, or at least maybe we didn't even discuss it on a podcast. Now I don't remember. But from our mini conversations, we've discussed that people just have poor communication skills. And so majority of the time people react with their feelings versus actually stopping and thinking for a second on the words before they actually say something, or thinking maybe what I'm saying could be hurtful in some way. And
it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to be outward facing and outward looking and judging others and focusing on what other people are doing than looking inward.
Yeah.
And looking at yourself and doing the work on yourself and worried about what you're doing, and that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, and that takes real honesty. So it's a lot easier to just ignore all that and launch out and lash out at other people and make fun of other people and make other people feel inadequate the way you feel inadequate.
It's also just like shocking. I think it's shocking to me sometimes just how mean people are okay with being. Like, even now with how social media is so huge, just, I know people kind of remove themselves whenever they attack other people on social media, but it's just like, it's just shocking to me that these kids and adults are pushed to the point of being just straight nasty to other people.
I think though that social, I think that's part of the technology thing we talked about last week, is technology amplifies what already is so human, right? If you are a broken human, technology.
Well, and also a lot of people they're part of the herd. They're gonna follow whatever they see.
Part of that is like, if you are a broken, hurt, negative person, then that tool is only going to amplify those things in you.
Yeah.
You're not going to somehow be Eeyore in your real life and then Mr. Sunshine on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
It's just whatever you feel inward whatever you feel inside yourself is what's going to manifest itself through whatever means, whether that's in person talking with somebody, or that's you see somebody on Facebook who's trying to make a video for whatever reason, and you leave a nasty comment about the way they look or the way they sound. And I don't know, I kind of think of like to that point, you know, to tie it all back into the story is I think empathy is really important because it allows you to understand others, and then
you keep touching your mic.
I know, I can't stop moving it. It allows you to understand others and see them for maybe where they are, but then it frees you from any type of dependency on how they're acting towards you, or how they may feel about you, or what they think about you, because you're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need anything from you.
Or I don't need that Starbucks drink that bad.
I don't need it that bad. You need it more than me.
Yeah.
Brene, or to your point about how people are towards each other on Facebook and stuff, it reminds me of Brene Brown talks about how she's not interested in your feedback or your opinion if you're not in the arena with her. So like, to make it more like concrete, like if you're a football player, you're not worried about what the people in the stands think.
Yeah.
You're on the field. You know what I mean? The only people who matter are the other people on the field.
Yeah.
And like, or like as a parent, like it's great. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. That's fine. You can have all your opinions in the world. But like, if you're not in the game with me parenting, I don't really, like, your opinion doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Yeah.
I'm not really all that interested in it because you're not here playing this game with me. Or if you're not like actively exercising or like actively lifting, I don't really care what you have to say about lifting because you're not here playing. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
That's like making a podcast. Like, if you're not also making content, and I don't really care what you think about the content I make.
Yeah.
You make something. You think you can make something as good or better or more interesting?
There's tons and tons and tons and tons of people out there that listen to podcasts. And if somebody thinks that they can do one better, that would then start one, because there's going to be a whole group of people that enjoy your podcast just as much as ours.
And that's where I think a place that a lot of people have to get to is like, great, go make it, go do it. I mean,
but I still majorly struggle with that, just because I don't like being in a position of where I'm setting myself up to be judged, and I think that's why I've kind of struggled with being in your vlogs, or
that's why
being
but that's
doing
why,
a podcast and stuff like that.
That's why everyone struggles with making, or trying to put something out there, right? It's what if they don't like it? What if they don't? But it's like, who cares what those people think? They're not making. They're not doing. It's a lot easier. And it also makes me think that those people need people like us a lot more than we need them, because their only value is critiquing what we do.
Yeah.
They're not contributing anything. So if we don't contribute, they have nothing to critique.
Yeah.
They're just talking heads. And I think that's what gives me a lot of freedom to like make videos and write articles and make social media posts, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to put stuff out there, and I'm trying to communicate something. I'm trying to get something across to somebody or share something with someone. Like, if you don't like it or you think it's not good, I don't really care. You're welcome to go make and share what you think is good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset you not only have to take towards like the digital world, but also in like in your life. Like,
Well, I do think that ever since we've started doing the podcast, I feel like I have a little bit more confidence in front of a camera, since you also record it as well. That part of it, whenever you first started it, that really threw me off and made me very uncomfortable, because I didn't want to be talking with a camera at me, because
that's kind of
in my brain makes me want to. This is a joke in our family. It made me want to do the robot and just back out of the room.
But I think that may be one of the biggest maybe unlocks of the whole thing, is like I feel like one of the biggest, besides vlogging, to document our life, because at the end of the day, that's like, to me, that's the whole reason to do it, is like this documentation of like family videos in a very 21st century format.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, one of the biggest positives of that, I think, is it forces you to not care about what other people.
Well, I don't think it necessarily is like forcing me to not care. It's just making me realize that I'm not being judged. At least as of right now.
Yeah, you're not being judged.
It's not big enough for us. It's not out there enough for a whole bunch of random people to actually be listening to it. But I mean, like, really a good majority of the world doesn't care.
Yeah, it's like you built it up in your head so much.
Well, I mean, just us even growing up on social media and just seeing how nasty people can be. But if you really break it down, that's only like a handful out of the whole world. That's only a handful of people that are actually being nasty.
Yeah, you're right.
To somebody else.
I think negativity sometimes is far louder, but positivity is far larger and deeper, and it wins in the long run. Kind of like the whole kindness wins in the long run. Positivity.
I really liked listening to that video of Kristen Bell saying that, because I mean, it just made a whole lot of sense of just like, no matter what situation you're in, kindness will always win, because you as the person who is being kind walk away as victorious, because you didn't let your emotions get the better of you in that moment. So you won, no matter if you think you did in that moment or not. You won, and whoever was being negative or whatever in your life did not.
Yeah.
If you can get to the point of where you're emotionally mature enough to not react like that and be kind, you've won.
Yeah, I think that's where one of my favorite books is called Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning, not meeting. It's basically about like a young psychologist in Nazi Germany who finds himself, he's Jewish, he finds himself in a concentration camp. And the book kind of tells about his experience. But it's very interesting because he's experiencing it firsthand, but because of his training, he's almost providing this like analytical view of it from like a psychologist's perspective. But he has a quote, that author has a quote that is something to that same effect of like, in between somebody doing something to you and then you responding, there's a little bit of room there, and that's where all your power in the world lies, because that's where you have the choice to affect things. And for in your example, like if you're kind and nice, you're able to leverage that power to overcome and gain back your power and control in that situation and walk away feeling good about it. But if you don't like take that space to think about how you're going to react, and you just default to anger, default to being frustrated, you kind of gave it up. Like you gave up that ability to exercise that power that you have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just needs to be viewed in every aspect of your life. Whether you're angry about politics, you're angry about the person riding your butt on the way to Starbucks. Like, in every aspect of your life, you just need to take a moment and be kind, because I kind of lost my train of thought here.
We're going in circles. But that's okay. They're good circles. So what's going on? What's your story? You have a story?
I don't.
No stories from your week?
I mean, not really, no. Other than just the boys, hanging out with them.
Anything fun? No, what about the story you told me about Cal today, telling you that you needed to just get in the car to see if
he said that he's been going through these little spurts of saying, no.
You got him well trained.
He's been in these little spurts of where he's saying that he's hungry. And I've been trying to get him to communicate what he's wanting in that moment, instead of just going to the fridge and us just staring at the fridge until he decides of what he wants. Part of me thinks a lot of it is that he may just be bored in that moment, or I don't really know.
It's a struggle right now, isn't it?
It's a very much a struggle, because I've been
You swore you weren't going to feed him anymore.
I've been getting irritated because I've been making a lot of food and he's not eating it. And I also don't want to force him to eat it. Like I said, I've been on a lot of nutritional pages, and one of my favorites for like little kids is like Kids, I believe it's Kids Eat in Color, and I just really enjoy all the stuff that she pushes out. And one of the biggest things that she says is just not to force them, because then that's where it creates the unhealthy eating habits of feeling like, because I made this, I have to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And or because I ordered all this food, I have to eat it. And I don't want to start any unhealthy eating habits with them. But it is frustrating, because we're in a stage of life right now where money's not just everywhere.
Money's never gonna be everywhere.
But that's what I'm saying, is that at this point at least at this point in our life right now, it's not like that. And every time I have to go and either throw away food, or in any situation, I get upset, because I'm like, this was a waste.
It makes sense. It is frustrating. I get frustrated by it too, and sometimes I'm like, you don't want what you're asking for. You're just bored, or you're just trying to get.
But also, I don't want to like force that on him to where it's like,
you don't want to starve.
He feels like he can't ask us
for things. Yeah, but tell the funny part about this story.
Okay, well, the funny part of the story is, he said that he was hungry, and I said, well, what do you want? And he said, I don't know, let's just get in the car until I figure it out.
I know what he was going to figure out.
I know what he was going to, because he's also been in a stage of life right now
ChickfilA,
where he doesn't
sponsor our podcast.
Yes, please. Just our family in general.
We will pay to be sponsored by you.
Well, I mean, technically, we kind of already pay a great deal of money.
We'll continue to over-consume and overspend to be paid by you.
Well, I mean, I know what he was going to ask. I know he was going to ask to go to ChickfilA or to do something of that nature, but am I too close to the mic now?
You're good.
So that distracted me. I'm so tired that the smallest thing is now distracting me.
I think your mic was picking up more than me. Technical difficulty.
And
did you lose your train of thought?
Yeah. He's in the stage of life right now where he is saying that he's hungry, and I'm not even 100% sure he is hungry, or he asks for something and I feel like it's waste. And I'm having to force myself to kind of just let that go, because in other instances, whenever he would do that, I would just eat the food, and that's not helping me either. Because now I'm overweight.
I'm on the toddler diet.
Well, now
you eat all your kids' leftovers.
Yes, I was doing that for a long time, and first of all, I don't want to eat chicken nuggets all the time. It's not an effective weight loss strategy. No, it's not. I mean, it was when he was eating everything. whenever I was pregnant with Kyler, he was eating everything, and I kind of would just eat his leftovers. And that's probably why I came out after having Kyler, lost like a great deal of weight.
The leftover portion is larger.
Yes, because he's having me make
and then not eating it.
These like big things, and he's not eating it. And all of a sudden, he doesn't like frozen chicken nuggets anymore. And he wanted us to buy hot dogs, but he never eats the hot dogs. And he just wants quesadillas. But if he has asked for a quesadilla, he wants salad in it. And sometimes we don't have salad. Well, the salad we have right now is a salad that he doesn't specifically like. And it's frustrating. And that's why I've been trying to follow these like children nutritional people on Instagram, because they kind of find a little bit more of like fun things to do to get your kid to eat the stuff they need to. And I just find her very enlightening. Well, and it makes me not panic that Cal's not eating.
I think that's the struggle between us on the nutrition front, because I think a lot of people would think because I'm into nutrition and I'm into fitness, they would think that I would kind of like project the importance of that, I think, onto like raising kids. And I don't really, because I just have this like gut intuition that human beings aren't going to starve themselves to death.
No, I know that, but I also don't think that cows should be eating a whole bunch of junk all day long.
Yeah, but like, I have this instinct that he's going to go towards the foods he needs, but also wants. Just out of like some intuition, some gut instinct. Like, he sometimes just wants salad.
No.
Without prompting.
I know that.
You know what I mean? So like part of it is obviously introducing your kid to certain foods. I just
also think we need to introduce him to more foods.
That's fair. And so I think, yes, there is some point of it like where you have to introduce foods to your kid, you know, so they know what
things. Because right now his menu is very, very small.
Well, like I don't think necessarily I just don't necessarily think that kids have to eat 3 squares or 4 squares, and it needs to be this portions and these portions. And I think it's just so over regimented, and it's somewhat taking out that intuitive nature that you would hope not to steal from your child, that the modern world has stolen from so many people, is this ability to know what hunger is and know what it is to actually be hungry, and not, oh, it's 6 p.m. time for dinner. Oh, it's 8 a.m. time for breakfast. Oh, it's noon, time for lunch.
No, I know that.
You know,
and that's why ever since he's gotten better communication skills, I don't just go and make things at certain times. But the issue is that right now, Kyler does not have good communication skills. So I do have to kind of stick to a more time.
And prompt him.
For him, because he doesn't always... Like, he'll just melt down if I don't feed him at a certain time.
No, I totally see that.
And whenever I do that, I just ask Cal if there's anything he would like, if there's something I can make him as well. And if he says no, he says no. But majority of the time, whenever I ask him if he wants peanut butter and jelly, he always says yes.
But... And I'm obviously, I'll admit I'm biased on this because I was a kid that had to sit at the dinner table.
Yeah, but I don't force them to eat anything.
No, I'm not saying that we force our kid to eat anything. I'm just acknowledging that my opinion on this is somewhat biased by my own personal experience, that I think to some extent your kid should have a right to choose what things they want to eat and what things they don't want to eat, obviously within reason.
Yeah.
But I think just blindly determining that they must eat X food at X time because that's what you think is good and that's what you think they should like, I think is like a little too authoritarian, in my opinion, when it comes to diet.
Well, like how the main person that I follow on Instagram states it, is that you feed them whatever you are eating, but always have a staple that you know they like to eat. And so encourage them to try everything at the table, but never forcing. And eventually, and her biggest thing is like making it fun. Like tonight I saw on her page is that she had these teeny tiny like little hand tong things that her kids were eating with because it was a new utensil. And she got them to eat more than normal because it was something new. It was almost like a toy.
Then you know what we have to do, right? We have to take action. We have to do something.
Do what?
Do we need to do some fun meals? Some fun utensils?
I do
More colorful plates?
Well, we did get some new plates, and that has encouraged Cal to eat a little bit more. He got some PJ Masks plates, and they're different than what our normal plates are. I kind of stayed away from all of those specific plates and like utensils and stuff like that because that's the cheap side of me of not wanting to buy something that he's only gonna like for like 6 months.
But I mean, like in terms of food, because I'm pretty routine with my food.
I do think
you're pretty routine with your food. Maybe we need to make more intention around purchasing more exotic air quote exotic foods.
I don't necessarily think that, but I think we should be making more of like a dinner and sitting down as a family and eating dinner.
I think we got away from that just because it's just hard with the boys. It's just
no, I know that, but I'm saying like even if we're like prepping it up, because I normally eat around the times that they are eating, so I can at least do that whether you're here or not for those things. But I do think that getting different utensils will encourage that. But also I think just actually maybe even getting a small dining room table and actually just sitting down with them to actually eat these things, so it's not just like, especially with Kyler, because Kyler's issue right now is that I think like when we got, Cal was in a high chair until like he was older than Kyler at that point, and so Kyler now, which is okay that he's a grazer, but the issue is that he'll graze on something like all day long. But
he just wants to graze.
No. I'm okay with that.
Let him be him.
I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with him carrying the food everywhere he goes.
With a fork. Wrestling with a fork in his hand.
Or that makes me uncomfortable, but those forks are very dull. It's not like he's actually gonna hurt somebody. But the biggest thing is that I'm like,
we're frustrated.
My mom,
we're lost. We don't know what we're doing.
No, like my mom found an apple underneath her guest bedroom bed that she wasn't quite for sure on how long had been there.
Kyler was gonna come back to it.
Well, it was pretty nasty at that point.
In a week or two, he knew where it was. He was gonna.
I just think we need to encourage a little bit more that if he's eating something, he needs to be sitting down.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the nutrition thing, obviously we're frustrated. Obviously we don't have all the answers, but I think that if you have ideas, if you're seeing or looking at ideas that make sense for us, I think we should be more intentional. I'm not saying we have to throw the whole kitchen, everything in the kitchen sink at it, but maybe each time we grocery shop, maybe we try to
incorporate something new.
Yeah.
Just for them to try or something of that nature.
And ChickfilA, please sponsor our podcast.
Stop saying that.
Podcast brought to you by ChickfilA.
No, you're only saying that. It's not necessarily because of you. It's because your wife.
We want free ChickfilA.
Your wife spends way too much money at ChickfilA. But it's just that part of me is that it's just because I'm slightly lazy. I enjoy Chick-fil-A so much that I could eat it on a regular basis, And
Convenience is important.
It doesn't make me feel like an absolutely terrible mom of my kids eating there all the time. And
it's good.
Well, I know they will eat that.
They put MSG in their food. That's why it tastes so good.
That's what I'm saying is that when I'm having those moments of struggling, of feeling a little defeated that they haven't really been eating anything, I know they will eat that every single time. They will eat it.
That's the safety net.
Yes, but I also know
they won't
that
starve to death because we have ChickfilA.
No, but I do think that since the beginning of Cal eating like solid foods, I do think I have relaxed a whole lot about it, because I do know now that kids go from like in little leaps and growth spurts of where they eat everything in your house and then like next week they won't eat anything at all. I mean, we've seen it multiple times of Cal was obsessed with chicken nuggets and it was the greatest thing in the world, and now he won't even touch them. So, I mean, it's that, but I think that we do need to venture out a little bit more with what we're buying.
We'll try some things and we'll report back. But right now, toddler nutrition is a struggle.
It's a struggle for me. You could care less, but
no, I do care. I don't want you to take it that I don't care, because I do care. I just don't worry. I don't necessarily worry about it as much.
I only worry about it,
which is totally cool, because you are with them more meals out of the week than I am, so that is much more of a pressing issue. So
my main thing is that I just would like to see them eat a vegetable. They're okay on the fruit front. They're very big fruit eaters. And then just a source of protein. If they had a really good meal during breakfast time, if they had a really good lunch, I'm not as picky the rest of the day. But if I feel like they haven't really had anything of substance, because that's the other thing that I've noticed is that when Cal doesn't have a good meal, he's in a crappy mood the whole entire day. It's just his patience is thin. He's constantly saying that he's hungry, and that's why I want to push something a little bit more substantial, because I feel like his mood improves whenever he's had something that can hold him over.
Yeah, makes sense. We'll try things, see what happens.
Okay.
Hopefully our kids won't starve.
They're not going to starve. I know they're not going to starve.
All right, we got time for one more topic. What do you want to talk about? Because my list was one thing. I had one story, but I'm tapped out here.
I saw another article today talking about now this day and age of maybe encouraging. Yeah, I don't know why you keep touching it. Now encouraging a later start to kindergartners than just pushing them in when they're 5.
I just had this conversation at work. No joke, because someone was like, how old is your oldest gonna be this year? And I was like 4 in July, and they were like, oh, July, really? And so then they asked me, obviously, the next question was, well, what are you gonna do when they turn 5? Are you gonna put them in school, or the whole debate of what you're talking about?
Well, but it's not from this person's front is that it wasn't necessarily to hold a boy back because they're more mature, or a better situation of making them older so they're better at sports or whatever. It's just the expectation.
Which is a real phenomenon.
Yes.
It's a real phenomenon. That
yes.
If you hold the kid and they're the older, if they're the older kid in their group, like their class, they'll typically be a more standout athlete just because they've older. Got months of development.
Yeah.
Which means something it means something when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, and then it slowly means less and less as you get older, but it's like a predominant amount of professional athletes.
I would understand that makes sense because of they hit puberty first or whatever. Yeah. But from this person's...
Outliers, maybe? There's a book about that talks about that.
From this person's standpoint of it was more of just because with standard Common Core expectations of toddlers now. It's just, it was kind of discussing of how, well, really just kindergartners, like the stuff that they have to know in kindergarten by the end of the school year is just a lot.
So you think that people are saying you need to give them more of a runway to get prepared for that?
Yeah, well, but also...
Like, I'm going to give my kid another extra 12 months or whatever if I can.
Well, they're just saying more of the people more of the kids who turn 5 in the summer. Because it's
but what if you turn 5 in April?
Well...
Like, is April to August enough?
Well, it's just saying because kindergarten for us was a lot of, like, play learning and social learning, and it wasn't like you have to know all of this by this certain time. It wasn't just forcing a curriculum on them right away. And now they have to be able to count to 100 by the end of the school year, and they have to be able to like already start reading.
My only consideration is, like, I just want him to get into that system and through the system as quickly as possible.
No, and I get that.
Not like I want him to be like so advanced that I just mean if he can start at 5, I want him to start at 5 so he can graduate when he's 17 or getting ready to turn 18. Versus holding him and then he's graduating at 18, getting ready to turn 19.
Well, I'd like to do more research on it because I do think that Cal is ready for a school-like setting even now. But I would like to do more research on what Missouri's standards are, just because I don't want him to be forced into a situation that just because he's younger, he could be potentially behind.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel so much in education, especially public education, so much is determinant on your own individual accountability.
No, I know that. I'm just, like you just said, that a lot of the whole eating thing comes back from your childhood. I think a lot of this comes from my childhood and me constantly struggling.
Like your fear of him being...
I just know how that felt.
You've experienced feeling behind, and you don't want him to feel that way, and you want to position him in, just like we talked about.
I just want to put him
with the whole iPad thing, like give him every opportunity to be successful. If
I feel like he is going to be more successful in his life, if I put him in when he's 6 versus when I put him in when he's 5.
But that's where the cynical person, and that's where the cynical, not negative. I don't want it to be negative, not the negative part of me, but the questioner in me says, who cares if he's successful in school? You know, barring he wants to be a lawyer or a doctor or...
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that I do think that I probably would have done... If I would have had more help and built more confidence when I was younger, I do think I would have went farther than where I am right now. I do think I would have went and actually got, like, in the beginning I wanted to be a vet, or I wanted to be a teacher. If I would have built up more of a confidence level in my own education, I think I would have went farther. Not saying that I can't do any of that now. I know all of that. But I'm just saying that we are in a position in life to where we can set our kids up for the best possibility that they can have in their whole entire life. Because I'm a stay-at-home mom. A lot of people don't get an opportunity to be able to hold their kid another year because putting them into school system, they don't have to pay childcare anymore, or they don't have to pay for a preschool anymore. So people are kind of forced to have to do that. But we're in a position to where if I can give him a better shot in life, I would like to do so. I'm not saying that we are going to do that. I'm just saying that I would like to do a little. You asked if I had a topic. That's the only thing I could think of.
No, this is a good topic because
I would like to do just a little bit more research on it.
Because I haven't necessarily made my mind up, but that's why I shared the only really consideration I think of is I don't think that what my kid does in high school will determine who he becomes or how successful he becomes, or even what he
No, I
does.
know, but you're coming from a front of a kid a person in general who does really, really well at self-learning.
No, I agree, and I think,
I'm not somebody that's.
And
like
that's why I really like this topic, because it kind of brings out something that's sometimes you don't realize it, but you have these biases that you're like me with food. I'm not going to force my kid to eat food because I was forced to eat certain foods, and so you carry that with you, and then you're going to right that wrong in some sense with your own kid.
I'm just saying I would like to pay a little bit more attention to Cal in these next few years before he is having to go into kindergarten, of if he's actually ready, because I don't want to put him into a position of maybe he's not ready, because right now we're like, oh my God, he's a genius.
Well,
and
I agree, but I also think that we have to temper, as I should probably have more balance in my laxity around my approach to feeding them. I feel like we should also temper our concern around their education in this. I guess what I'm trying to say is we have to parent them as the kids they are, not as.
No, I'm in agreement. I mean? That's why I said that I'd like to watch him, because I don't.
But it's really easy. It's really easy to not. It's really what I was trying to say is it's really easy to bring your own.
No.
Past experience and be like, oh well, I don't.
Well, that's why
feel like I felt.
Whenever he's 4, he's gonna go to an actual preschool setting, and he's gonna go through all that, and I'll keep doing the parents as teachers situation, and I'll talk to these people, and if us all together, these people who are wanting Cal to succeed, are in agreement that he is ready. I mean, really, our parents as teachers lady is ready for Cal to go to kindergarten right now. Well, she's just all set and ready.
If Cal asked me one day, he says, Dad, why did I get held back here? I'm gonna say, well, that was your mom, buddy.
No, you won't, because parents need to be united front. You don't pin the other parent for the decision. I'm not saying that I'm going to hold him back. You're making it seem like, oh my gosh, now we're losing what we originally agreed on. I'm just making the joke. I'm just saying I would like to do a little bit more research on it.
I'm undecided. I think you're undecided, but I think we can both agree that we obviously have to just be in touch with who our kids are, not who we think our kids are, or what we may bring to that experience because of our past experience.
Because I would say that he's probably capable of counting pretty high right now, and he's probably capable of doing a lot of stuff that is required of him as a kindergartner. I'm just, from reading these couple articles, has just kind of made me question my own standing a little bit, and I just wanted to do a little bit more research to make sure that I am completely comfortable in him. Because he is going to be.
This in like 20 years, be like, Mom, Dad thought I was stupid.
No, I think he's a complete genius.
They were worried I was gonna be dumb.
Is totally ready for it. I just on a personal front know how it is to be struggling for a good portion of your life through school and not feeling like you can get any help anywhere, or being too scared to even ask for help. And like I've said previously, it's not right that I didn't find out. I found out I was dyslexic in high school. That's not
Which is a fair experience. But obviously, you're not going to right that wrong now.
No.
Because it's...
But I can right those wrongs for my kids.
No, I know, but like, your kid may not be dyslexic.
No, Cal's 100% not. I know that because I know the signs for it.
But
now.
you can't feel like, well, I'm not going to let that happen to him, because...
You're making it seem like I'm just over here that's like, no, he's not going to go to school at 5 because it's not going to set him up for success. I'm saying that I would like to do more research on it to firm my decision on what is going to set him up for success.
I'm kind of like...
You're only saying that because you think college and like all of that was a waste now, and you would much rather him go through it all quicker so that he can just go on and live his life.
I'm going to encourage him to double down on his strengths. Whatever he's passionate about, whatever he's interested in, whatever he's good at, that's what I'm going to push him towards, because if he loves it, he will be willing to suffer for it. He will be willing to do whatever it takes to be great at it. And if you do great work, you're going to be successful.
But see, the thing is that you're being all like snarky towards me. But the thing is, we're in agreement.
No, I know. I know we are in agreement. It's that I know, like on the macro, we agree. But I think when we get down to like the tactical, you're much more concerned with getting the moves right, which is totally fair.
I'm not saying he needs to be a straight A student. I'm just saying I don't want him to feel like he's struggling, and that because here's the thing, Steven, you might have a kid who actually 100% enjoys school and does actually think it brings a whole lot of stuff to his life. And so, but also at the same time, I don't want him to feel like he is struggling in any sort of way. Or that it makes him feel lesser.
So this is gonna drive our conversation over our time limit, but I think it's important because
you're just making me frustrated.
I'm not trying to frustrate you. I was good at school. I think I was good at school because it served a means to an end. I was passionate about it because it was useful to me and I cared about it. I don't think that anything in school lit you on fire that same way.
It didn't light me on fire because I was too insecure to even start it.
Well, you were too insecure about?
I
can't do this?
I was already too scared that I was going to fail that I didn't even want to start.
And you feel like that came from a sense of like being unprepared.
Yeah.
Or maybe no one ever told you that like you're supposed to not know.
I think that I had a few core teachers in my life that built confidence up in me, but I didn't receive that until much later in life. Until I had Coach Finch, until I had Coach Schultz. I didn't have Coach Harriman even. Coach Harding, really they're all the main coaches at Joplin, but I didn't have those. I didn't have any of that until much later in life.
Well, for that, we're obviously in agreement to like build our kids up.
Yeah.
So they should never have.
Well, I'm not saying that my parents were lacking in any sort of way.
Well,
it's
no.
just I also didn't feel comfortable enough to even communicate with them of how bad I felt behind.
And hopefully we make it safe for Cal to, when he falls behind, he feels okay with that. But I totally think we agree. I totally think we agree on the big picture. I think like with the food, in the same way with the education thing, I think I have a much more like. I think few things really matter, and I feel that way and obviously my opinion is colored by my experience, and yours is colored by your experience. And my experience was I cared a lot about every little thing, and every little thing was super important. It was desperately important to get everything right and perfect and good grades and cross all the T's and dot all the I's. But now as an adult, I see that I could have missed a lot of I's and not crossed a lot of T's, but if I got like these few things right, it would have, like, net, there wouldn't be a big difference. But I would have been a lot more relaxed, and I would have been a lot more able to do things and experience other things and not be so must do this, must follow this path, must check all these boxes, because that's the way to be successful. This is the way to get to where you want to go. And I think that's where my opinion on it comes from. That's why is like, he needs to be passionate about he needs to chase what he's passionate about, pursue what he's interested in, double down on his strengths, focus on those things, don't get caught.
I know, but I do think just school provides a whole lot more than just education. I'm saying, like, it provides more for his life as a whole. Like, how much did you learn from your coaches in football?
A lot. No, I'm not taking away any of those experiences.
But if he doesn't do well in school, he's not going to be able to do sports to where he can't then learn things that are very important in his life.
That's why I think that's where I cared about school. I cared about certain things as they were means to an end for other things. You know, that was what was motivating about it, because I thought, well, if you do this X, Y, Z, you can do A, B, C. And in the grand scheme of things, though, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So people could say, well, maybe it did actually make a difference, maybe it didn't. But I think forecasting myself back from where I sit now, like, to get like specific, like, Lane opted out of a lot of things that I thought were unopt-outable. Like, I thought, no, you got to do those things, right? But my brother was so much more lax, and so much, not lax in a bad way, but like, no, it's not a big deal. I can miss football camp to go to this camp and have fun, and I'll still come back and everything will be okay. But like, the way I saw things, the way I felt about things was like, no, if I miss camp, then I'll lose everything and I'll miss out on everything. And if I fail this one test, like, that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, but
like,
football was really important to you at that time. So
it
makes sense of why you wanted to go to those things, so that you wouldn't feel like you fell behind.
Correct. But I think what I could tell my younger self now would be, it's really not that big a deal. Most things really are not that big a deal.
No, I know that, but here's the thing. Whenever people say, if I could go back and tell myself, I'm going to tell you 100%, younger Kelsey would not have given two shits about anything older Kelsey has to say, because she didn't care about what anybody else had to say. She was just doing whatever she wanted at each day at the time. So it doesn't really matter what older Kelsey thinks younger Kelsey shouldn't have done. She wouldn't have listened, because I'm stubborn, and if somebody says you have to do it this way, I'm going to do it the exact opposite way.
Based on our conversation about the education piece and about like when to start the kid and the food, it shows me how much, like, so much of what you experience as a kid informs kind of how you see things as a parent, And you wouldn't think
I think that's everyone in
oh
general.
yeah, no doubt. But you don't. Sometimes sometimes you're unconscious of that. Like.
Well, I mean, I was talking to Allie about it the other day. Is that you just don't realize how much certain stuff affected you in life until you have children, and then you're like, oh crap, maybe I should be going and talking to a therapist and working this stuff out, just because so that I'm not over the top about the certain, because I'm not going to force Cal and Kyle, like, to be the only way that you're the greatest student ever is if you get straight A's, because I know that's not the case. Because as long as you have the diploma, 90% of the time colleges don't care. And like, I mean, it's just not like, of however you got the diploma, places don't care.
But I think that's also, so that I think that layers on two things. One, you can't parent your kid based on who you were as a kid.
No, I know that.
No. That's why I think we both have agreed that, like, that's number one. You have
because
to
they're not me.
You have to parent who your kid is, and you have to be in tune with that and involved. And I think we as parents will be that way. So we're gonna make some mistakes, but I think we're gonna get a lot of the big stuff right because we're going to be engaged and to be as in tune with what's going. Yeah, we're gonna make an effort, and I think that's half of it. I think the second layer to that is you can't parent your kid for the world in which you grew up and are living.
Yeah. Well, it's different.
You have to be looking, forecasting ahead and saying, like, I think a legitimate question for us as parents is like, does my kid even worry about college? Is college even a thing when they're 18? You know? Like,
well, I'm for sure not going to force that, because I mean, even people in our life show that you don't have to go and do the college education right at 18, because Andrea got her degree late.
Yeah, but it's
David's
that whole,
doing his late.
That completely changes if college is not.
No, I know that.
If it's like, if that becomes the new norm of, like, if the jobs and businesses, like, we don't care what degree you have, we could care less. We don't pay you based on your education.
I think a lot of
we don't even care. We don't ask it on the application. That completely changes. Like, so what? You're just going to tell your kid to pause what they want to do with their life until they're 18 and finish school? Okay, now you can go do it? Because the old system or the current system is, you go to school till you're 18, and then you decide to go to college so you can have the degree to go to the job. But in this future world, it's like the job says, we just care you can do it. Right? And so if you're someone who's like at 15 or 16 and you can play.
No, I
know. You know what I mean? Like, they completely change. It just, it's interesting to think about because there's no playbook for that. Like, I think our parents handed us their playbook. And then the world moved.
Yeah, but the world moved later.
Less drastically.
Yes.
And less quickly than it's...
For us and our kids, that we're in a completely different world.
Yeah, it's rapidly changing much faster. But I still think the playbook our parents gave us was outdated.
Well, I'm sure every playbook that every parent gives to their child is outdated.
And I think that to be good parents, that's where we have to think. We have to think about that. Like, we want to give them the playbook that's for their world, for their game, for their strengths.
With also looking at our playbook and, like, merging the two.
That's fair. We're at an hour and 10 minutes.
I know, we probably should go because I'm sure people are ready for us to stop talking. If they're still even listening. If you're still listening, great.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate it. So that was the rambling and stumbling and ranting episode number 4. we really do appreciate it if you're still listening. I've come to really look forward to Wednesday nights and recording the podcast.
I do too. Just like I've said in the past, is that if I can help one person, or if I can just brighten their day of somehow, my mission is complete here.
It's the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you guys enjoyed it, great. If you didn't, that's cool too.
I mean, at this point, should we be asking some listeners of topics that they want us to?
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. Kelsey's handle is at kfreeborn412. My handle is at Stevan.freeborn on Instagram. Follow us there, and then message us if you guys have any topics or questions or things that you want us to argue about.
I don't think we've argued until this point.
It's good. It's good though to uncover. I mean, that's how those are the conversations where you work stuff out, and those are the most enlightening, I think, for people, because they're like, yeah, we have that disagreement too, or that we have that same, like, we don't know what we're gonna do either. It's relatable. It's normal. I think it is. Anyways, follow us. Send us your questions. And if nothing else, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Goodbye.